Red alert! Red alert! A plague of cringe has claimed your home planet of gaming. Brave heroes, take to the stars and scour the gamer's galaxy for new IP planets to live on. That's how 2024 felt to me. If you've checked out my last 2 year-end rankings, you know that Nintendo's been my thing for many years. It's honestly kind of been my rock, but my whole gaming hobby went into flux once this company's absurd approach to IP protection just kind of drove me away from their creations and left a sour taste in my mouth. Being drowned in the Nintendo bubble that I'd immersed myself in, I was kind of freaking out. I went into 2024 with a goal to find some new, really cool, really deep series that I could sink my heart into while getting away from where I've been. Find them, I McFlippin' did. But there's a catch. I went way overboard. I played dozens and dozens of games in these series that have super short games you can burn through, and I could not process them all. I could not think them all through. I could not fit them all into this video. So we have a bit of a gimmick this year. Yay! My traditional top 10, 20, or 15 is an obnoxious lasagna of the same 4 or 5 franchises just trading spots, while tons of bangers are completely left out. So instead of that mess, meet the tag team top 10 list. In this list, games that are from the same series or just very strongly united around about the same spot are allowed to team up if I feel like they deserve one spot together. It's collaborative. Now, there's no way you would want a detailed list of every single one of the games I played, ranked separately as long as I could process it, not bundled at all, and meticulously put all together from 1 to 27 or so, right? I mean, if you wanted that, you could skip to this timestamp and you could see that there, but that's not fun, so let's strap in for the fun list. Root for your favorite team. Make some fun flags and mascots and woo, root for them. Let's see who did what in the great, exciting, first ever top 10 tag team 10 list of 2024. Number 10. I believe that the number of Castlevania games I own quadrupled in the year 2024. Yes, I burned out. No, I don't want to talk about it. The fruity Titanic ritual of the night anchors this trio as a very fun but a little bit odd game, which probably could have broke top 7 if the year was a little bit weaker. We like rotin' around here. Order of Ecclesia, on the other hand, absolutely could have torn its way into top 5 in any other year. It's this beautiful, evocative action game, which regrettably maybe evoked too many feelings and came way too late into my burnout process to be actually experienced fully. The start of Order and Under Lilies, getting a pulse on that, they felt like my fall games, but they were way bigger than I had the emotional energy for, and after not too much time, I didn't feel anything at all. Then Haunted Castle is just really good. I like it. You know I like it. 3,000 of you know that I like it. It pumps me up to eat wall chicken and take names. Just no notes on that one. Altogether, this trio really helped me enjoy spooky castles a lot more than I used to, and getting chills became a much more regular part of my gaming life in 2024. Another honorable mention to Curse of Darkness, whose music made me go out and buy a PlayStation 2, and the free OG Castlevania that I've been kind of just stimming out with ever since the free Epic Bundle gave it to me. I don't know if I'm ever gonna stop, even if I need to. I've hardly played them, but next year. Happy Wheel of Doom Day indeed. Number 9. Side order is a thing I like a lot. It dives right into my beloved Octarian lore, and it gives you another super fresh aesthetic bath to just soak up into your pores. In terms of story and soul, it sips really deep with me. Radiohead DLC cephalopods stay winning this year. You can get sucked into a really excellent mood thanks to this, and there's obviously a lot of heart which I resonate with, but in terms of gameplay, it's kinda good, not great. Like, it's as wide as an ocean and as deep as a tide pool. I got numb within approximately 6 days of playing it. The moments of genuine surprise come way too seldom, and those basic tasks they have you do get boring way too quickly. Just way too quickly. It makes me wonder, why does Nintendo want to make these games they're expecting you to play for 100, 150 hours, like a roguelike or a open world game, if they refuse to get deep with it, if they refuse to have layered mechanics, if they refuse to have those addicting kind of systems that make other normal developers thrive in this kind of style. You can't make everything simple, uncomplicated fun if you're expecting the player to clear it, like, with 12 different weapons. They're gonna get bored. They frankly are. It's just, it's exactly like Tears of the Kingdom. I really, really mess with the heart at the core of the game. Like, I really, really do, but it's just so shallow. Every once in a while, I'll hop in, I'll grind out some marina logs out in computer virus therapy land, and maybe I'll work out the relationship I have with a weapon in some kinky new angle I never could have imagined. Like, whoa, try a new fun color palette, but it just doesn't go very deeply, and it basically hits as a really expensive diversion for the normal game. Number 8. Every time that I come back to thinking about Tales of Kinzetta Zao, the more that I like it. Am I slowly forgetting the bone-breaking frustration of my first time playing? Yes, but I also keep seeing updates that it gets, like the really fun grapple hook attack I made a video on, and the blanket nerf to spikes everywhere. That's super hardening. This is a powerful game, right? It was created specifically as art, specifically for grieving. It's also a fun game. It has this, really, really weak sauce approach to puzzles, if I'm being honest. And backtracking isn't, perfect. I haven't tried the backtracking patch yet, and it had all those issues at launch, so, it's a little bit goofy, but, it makes me smile. It's got this deep combat. It's got this super, super lush world, and the music goes hard as hell. The music is just tearing it up. It's in my Mellovania Super Spotify mix, and it's such an essential part of that playlist that it already feels like a core part of the gang. It's just got, it's got the juice. So it was a hard fight between this, Roten, and Side Order, because they're all a bit messy, and they all have really, really good hearts, and they were great games I played this year with so much potential to make me smile down the road. But there's no denying it. This one definitely wins. It was a long fight, but it has cleared the other ones. I hope it holds up as the years go on. I'm already really excited to replay it. Also, due to taking inspiration from their combat, I think it reverse got me into DMC and Kingdom Hearts. So, good work, Zao. So, allow me to pause for some unfortunate mentions in this segment. Number 1, Another Code, Twin Recollections from the Another Code collection to Another Code's Recollection collection, wasn't my favorite visual novel. The puzzles are really weak, and then also nothing actually rocked my socks about the story. I'd only recommend this to somebody if you really, really are struck by the atmosphere and the characters, which I did like, and they did pull it through to be an alright game. I mean, it's teetering between honor and dishonor here, but I gotta put it in the dishonorable mention category. It was very expensive. Next, Mega Man Zero was my very first Mega Man game. That is a terrible place to start the series. Oh my god. The music and the presentation of the whole Zero collection, breathtaking. Changed my life immediately. That is one of the best title screens I've ever seen. But from the very first beat with its quick respawning enemies, Zero is just so bent on kicking your ass and forcing do-overs that I, with no experience, was actually miserable. I was like, this is kind of bad. I muscled through most of the game. I figured out the routine and stuff. I played a lot of it, but oh my god. There's the elite dopamine when you win. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm coming right back to these games next year, but I have to make some time to laugh about how much this brutal heavyweight came in and just knocked my socks, expecting me to have played 15 Mega Man games beforehand. That is not the right gaming loop. It is not supposed to feel like what I put into this game. But man, it feels good when you win. Then, Fairy Afterlight was not terribly good, and oh my god, I never had time for Pepper Grinder. Jeez. Isn't that sad? I made a whole video about how much I wanted to play it back in January, but I got so swept away by other games, even other piratey games that I started on the exact same weekend as Pepper Grinder, that it never had its moment. I'm really sad about that. Except, now I'm playing it while I'm producing this video, so yay, silver lining. It's wicked fun, just like I was hoping, and the music is shockingly great, so I'll get there next year. But no, I never played Pepper Grinder. Isn't that kind of sad? Time for a special honorable mention segment from our lord and sponsor, Hatsune Miku. Vocaloid, something that I was never previously interested in, kept me really good company throughout this whole year. On all my weird adventures and all my tough moments, it was always there. Nowhere was this more obvious than when Project Meet IDX became a really good grounding habit. It's just so light, and it was perfect to habitually pick up when I was really struggling to find the energy to play games. It was a really big savior, honestly, during the fall. It became my go-to travel game too, which was surprising, I guess, and then it caused a whole storm of fan-made music beat map madness when Miku Fitness Boxing became my staple I feel like shit game. I got a lot out of the boxing workout, no shit, like I think it works really well for me, but I have just enough gripes with the game itself to be the one person sitting around praying for Miku Fitness Boxing 2. You can do it. Just bring in Kaito and Mako, and it'll be so much better. Just fix a couple things, give me voice language options. Perfect game, Nintendo. Then, Project Sekai was also a really nice hub this year. It's a musical hub, but it was also a social hub. It was fun to talk to my friends about. And I'm not going down the dark road of gacha, by the way. I came from the dark road of gacha. Gacha was here before y'all were here. I was into gacha before all this stuff. Don't pray for me. But yeah, I got this feeling that this is one of the only gacha games that's ever wanted to exist. I think it's just amazing the way that Krypton takes the creations from its fans and then gives them games, and then pays the fan producers money in royalties. Like, it's like the anti-Nintendo. It was such an interesting balm, and I've been loving my early days as a Vocaloid fan. Taken as a whole, 2024 Miku games made me feel like I actually belonged, even though I was in a whole new part of gaming town. And that's it. No more pausing. We have no more pausing for honorable mentions or dishonorable mentions or anything. It's that time. If you remember the last 2 years, after the last honorable mentions roll, what follows is a pretty beefy top 3 when I get super passionate. The rest of these games, every single thing in the top 7 segments is that strong. Every single game, yes, even within bundles. Most of them are bundles. Everything has what it takes to have reached the epic finale tiers of 2022 and 2023. Those final segments were more than just top 3s. They were the big guns. They were games that were gunning at a minimum B+ tier in my heart forever. Every single game is that good from now on. I am emotionally exhausted. Let's rock. Number 7. Touhou Luna Nights comes up constantly when I think about all the Melovania Metroidvanias that I love. Coolest world, best action, sickest upgrades, most fun game systems, most mentally unwell protagonist, best music. Most excitingly, I think Sakuya is the best feeling Metroidvania protagonist to handle, beside Metroid Dread Samus, and that's close, by the way. She's giving her a run for her money. This game is strong enough to break into top 3 in a normal year. But I have some kind of major hangups with Touhou as a series, and I kind of failed to become a fan this year. It's kind of awkward. dishonorably mentioned, I tried Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, and it was fun as like a game. There's a lot that I like about it, and I like Patchouli a lot. She's awesome, but I wasn't too passionate about it, and I didn't love finding out that Flan's theme is meant to be Rodi Poi, whatever the fuck that means. Am I gonna go to jail for saying that? Perfect Cherry Blossom, on the other hand, I love that game. I really, really enjoy it. The extra atmosphere and the flourishes, they make it a gorgeous and riveting experience. Like, it filled my life with these ghostly dark blues and these tasty little pink colors. It was just this juicy bath for about 6 days in May, before another game came along in May and siphoned up all the indigo juice. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I really got into PCB, and I really love Luna Nights, but I didn't have time to make peace with them. It's very unfortunate. I love them in some ways, but I don't love them in some others. It's a lot like 2023's Rayman Legends. Like, I like them. I like them a lot. But how much is loving, how much is liking, it's gonna take a little time to sort out. Number 6. How often can you pinpoint the exact moment when you became a fan of something? When the familiar series enemies hit as comforting instead of scary? When story stuff gets your brain racing and you have to go to fan wikis once you see it? When the themes and the symbols that hold the series together like glue start to become filled with warmth as you notice them? Momodora 2 made me a fan as soon as I booted it up. The replayable micro Metroidvania setup and the fun bosses make it a banger on its own, but it goes further. The subtle, classy, confident touches like the Momodora leaf sitting gently on the title really hit me well, and seeing what would later become staple, atmospheric, and stylistic elements just starting to blossom felt crazy cool. It was fun. It was fun enough to replay like 3 times in 1 month. But then, before long, I saw this young series take its final bow, conscientiously, with forethought and with care. Magnificently. Momodora 5, Moonlit Farewell, it's one of the most impressive games I've ever had the chance to play. From the melancholy and ethereal title screen, to the sense of joy, awe, and dread that fill up the beefy adventure and all the cool places you get sent, all the way up to the new, yet elegantly simple heights that the game is designed to hit. They really, really got their definitive entry landing that they were aiming for here. It feels like a luxury product. Honorable mention goes to Momodora 1 and 3. They were a package too, but they didn't quite make top 10. They're like 11 or something. They're funny and interesting little games that are distinctly not Metroidvanias, and I'll keep replaying them too. I mean, they are important passages in this epic song of autumn. This song that is dotted with some of my very, very favorite Metroidvanias of all time. It was definitely a special time pilgrimaging back to the home of my first ever Metroidvania, Momodora 4. Number 5. So I set out this year to find new series to cherish and to make special. But that doesn't mean that the Nintendo train that I was already cherishing died clean turkey. In fact, 3 of the very best 2D games that the company's ever made found me, and each one was gunning really hard to do some damage to this list. Metroid Zero Mission hit really hard, easily my favorite Metroid since the big 2 I played back in the day. The visuals and the music, they're just delightful. It feels like a core Metroid experience has been adapted to a toy-like level of emotional simplicity, and I appreciate that. But I was way too swamped with other games to finish it, so it had to be bundled in with some other games lest it fall out of the list. Then, DKC2 finally found me. Me, the budding DKC enthusiast who fell so deeply in love with everything about the series just recently, from the gameplay, to the world's atmosphere, to the vibes, to the Kong fun, to the lush music. Then I learned David Wise might be pro-cop and anti-trans, which isn't something you learn about every composer, and I kind of sobered up, like the lights turned on, I was in a cold sweat, like, where am I? Where are all my friends? What party is this? What am I doing? I've just poured so many emotions into his songs over the years. They've been like homes to me, like safe havens in a storm, and all of a sudden it all soured. Felt like crap. I was like, was this a good place to be for me? Was I invited to this party? DKC2, it's really cool, and it could be a top 20 game of all time for me if I come back, but am I gonna go back? I don't know. This is really awkward, you guys. Then, on my first ever Christmas away from my family, I had this really nice, quiet evening. I made a sacred moment out of trying a game that I knew would be really special, called Yoshi's Island. Have you heard of it? I was blown away. I gave it so much, and it gave me good vibes right back. It's so endearing. It has this super clever gameplay loop that addicted me super hard. It's just endlessly creative, perfectly polished. It was an elite gaming experience. I thought, holy goodness, this is gonna be one of the best games I ever play. After Wonder won in 2023, I actually happened to go to Kyoto, and I brought my little SNES copy of Yoshi's Island and my physical Switch copy of Mario Wonder, and I did this cute video where I was at Nintendo's home office in Kyoto, and I was like, thank you for Mario World 2 and Mario World 2. It was such a happy moment. I didn't realize this was kind of the end, because before long, in January, I was hearing about so much stuff, you know? Friggin' Gary Bowser getting taken away by Interpol with rifles and a SWAT car, like, all the scary stuff, and I was like, I don't know if I want to be as emotionally vulnerable and precious and dear with this super corporation's products as Yoshi's Island makes me. It was miserable. It was kind of the end of my happy days as a Nintendo diehard. But even with those days in the past and finding myself much happier enjoying a wider array of series, I can't deny how powerful these 3 games were. I mean, they all could have broken top 2 or 3 if we lived in a better world, and I hope I can spend more time with them all someday. This is the last wishy-washy segment. What a weird video. Number 4.
気をつけてね。上りが冷めるまでは様子を見た方が本命だね。そん時が来たら
Gunvolt 3 makes a wicked first impression. The clean cyberflower menu, the snappy UI, Kirin on her motorcycle just smashing through dudes. This wasn't just my first exposure to Gunvolt, this was my first exposure to Blue Bomber-inspired games at large. It was so cool, you guys. The crazy moves, the explosive combat scenarios, it made me feel invincible. Like these protagonists' gigantic psychic electric powers, they were coming from some deep, untapped energy reserve inside me that I didn't know I had till I played this game. It's so heat. I literally just practice these levels over and over and over again to get my score higher, just for fun. That's not something I normally do in games. Then the Dragon Bureau, it's so full of comfy, cozy banter, and like the little side stories are genuinely so goofy and endearing, so that really endeared me to the whole universe. But now that I've gone further in the series, I can see how it sits in a bit of an awkward place. It just kinda factory resets the more nuanced narrative that was going on in the first 2 games, and the gacha RPG symbolizes it pretty well. I mean, all those characters people loved, they're just kind of a hall of faces for this new origin story to selectively reference, so that's a bit awkward, but I mean, Kirin's a silly bitch. She just wandered into this story, just like me, and we met at a good place. It was basically the best-worst place to start. I loved the fresh cast. I love that I didn't have to know anything to have fun. But now it does feel weird to go back to the rest of the series. Like, I warped into a house, into just like a side bedroom, and I talked to the person in that bedroom like, hey, what's your story? Oh, hey, okay, that's cool. We have the same interest. I befriended them. Then I step outside the house and I'm an alien and I have to talk to the entire rest of the family and say, oh, hey, yeah, I'm new here. You don't know me, but I'm new here. The delicious visuals, right? The comfy game feel, this very idea of flying through the air to chase scores and get your hero action perfectly graded, it's always gonna be with me. This is a new adventure and it began with Gunvolt 3. I'll always hold it close to my heart. Number 3. Professor Layton is a series that needs no introduction, and I'm not particularly inclined to give it one. I could try to reduce it to words. Oh, the inspiration I draw from this atmosphere, the tone, the joy of slamming my head against the wall over puzzles, the music and how it can transport you away. But I have played, reviewed, ranked, and assimilated so many games this year, and I just want to let a couple be magical and free like little butterflies. Curious Village and Diabolical Box. They're full of that signature vibe that puts me straight to home. And finally enjoying the series further, that was one of the very best parts of this crammed world tour. I love the Layton series intensely, and it takes not even lifting a finger for either game to come in and clown every single game that came before them on the list. Good night, Curious Village. Number 2. I knew something big was going on when I got a pulse on the electric joy of the Gunvolt series and on its little neighbor, Mega Man. I did not know it was hiding in the nostalgic, chunky NES titles. I don't mess with 8-bit or the 80s. It's harsh, it's grating, it's overly bright, it's too clunky, it's just tough on my senses. It was like a joke. Why would I even try these games? Dude, have you played Mega Man 2? The comfy jumping feel, the way that shooting feels, they pierced layers and layers of disinterest in my heart. Then the soul-achingly hype melodies of the soundtrack broke through their chiptune chains to sing directly to my spirit. I literally love everything about this game. The color-coordinated ammo refills and E-tanks, the resulting resource management they cause, how missable goodies on one run can become routing objectives for future runs, and the charming, silly enemy designs, they fill the whole universe with fun. Turns out, I was never the type to like this. I was a person made to cherish classic Mega Man. Everything from the harsh sound effects to the blocky visuals to the strong colors, they all work in the favor of making this robot game even robotier. In an alternate timeline where I had more time, this whole list was just filled with classic Mega Man, but this placement for 2 speaks volumes for my hopes for the series. Searingly good times, whose structure and quality I resonate with so deeply. They shattered just layers and layers of expectations. They created a deep, nourishingly happy core little place in my gamer life. Number 1. Alright then, let's take all of my S-tier favorite gaming things, put them in a blender, and then serve it up in 3D. Why not? Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion is a teeny, offbeat emotional landscape made of sweet puzzly action, sensitive storytelling, and literal god-tier atmosphere. It swings hard, with the comfortable polish and simplicity you might expect of a Kirby game, but also juicy atmosphere, and a more mentally stimulating kind of action, something like what I feel playing a Metroidvania. It comes straight for my ass, is what I'm trying to say. This might be a final boss. This might be the most important thing that famous digital toy-making company Nintendo is capable of giving to a grown-ass adult like myself. As an aside, I tried to beat this thing on Side Order Eve, and I ran out of gaming time halfway through that triumphant finale. That meant there was a day where I had to bottle up all that emotion, just go to bed and soldier on for 24 hours, hearing the "Pussy! Yeah, pussy!" song just blaring in my chest till I could come home, beat it, and send Agent 8 on to cyber therapy. I like a lot of Splatoon characters, but the depths of sentimentality and resilience that are suggested to lurk in the heart of this Octoling hero make her my favorite character in gaming, I think. I just really, really resonate with 8. This resulting feeling of this game, this enduring, triumphing sense, this battle against a dark, sprawling system of torment, the way it's delivered in a charming, heartfelt way, it capitalizes on the promise made by games like Cave Story that short little creations can have big emotional impact on people. Octo Expansion is my favorite 3D gaming experience, and it's a new S tier among like a tiny handful of games, which makes it unhinged that it can't stand alone with the gold medal today. Because who could have predicted Animal Well? This is one of the greatest Metroidvanias of all time, my dude. This is one of the greatest games that's ever been made. Yeah, it has like mean, stingy platforming and some optional ARG elements out in the deep well that people might kind of bounce off, but that is not enough. That is not enough to change the fact that this is the moodiest, the most touching and beautiful game that I have experienced since virginal Hollow Knight. It's a mesmerizing, brilliantly puzzly little brain thing on one hand, but on the other, it can't be ignored anymore that Billy Basso made one of the most interesting, deep, and addictive maps you could ever dream of progressing through. Not to mention, a contender for the most tender and evocative in such a funny, subtle, wordless way. Getting to know the world of Animal Well feels like making a new best friend out of the blue. Memorizing the map feels like moving into a new home, and sharing this wisdom with your friends feels like getting Olympic gold medal chemicals shot straight into your veins while relaxing under a beautiful dark candy tree from Deltarune. In real life, time and time again, discoveries in this darn game make you go, what the hell? How could you? This changes everything! How can you even make a game while hiding a layer like this underneath? And then you carry on, and it happens again. And it happens again. And it happens again. You guys, this changes everything! It is a heavenly feeling, and I strongly recommend you give it a shot. It's a small, twisted, emotional environment, and it's made of empowering challenges, and it's sweet, and it's delicate, and it has this kind of storytelling, like Octo Expansion. It's a hell of a lot scarier, but it's a similarly sweet place to spend your time. In fact, after calling my big 3 Kirby games my big 3 games of all time, the other S tiers, I kind of see a second, spookier S tier triad when you take Animal Well, Octo Expansion, and Hollow Knight. Those are my 6 S tiers. So what on earth is the point of comparing Octo Expansion and Animal Well when they're going to be compared against my favorite games of all time for the rest of my life? Who gives a shit which one wins this year? They're winning together. I'm not choosing. Are you insane? This year has so much quality, it's basically 2 years in one. So yeah, this year, a 3D game won first place. Also, a no-name indie game won first place instead of Nintendo. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that just delightful? So, in a triumphant Melovania historical moment, a 3D game has won first, and a new game with 0 pedigree has also won first. Here's to more of both in 2025 as I enjoy the fundamental way the bedrock of my gaming life has been shifting, and maybe I settle down with these new roots. It's gonna be fun, tearing into these new series, trying to slow my roll on starting new ones. A bit, if I can. Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.